Here is a disturbing truth. The woman who acts the most indifferent to your face is often the exact same woman stalking you the most in your absence. When you disappear, she doesn't forget you. She starts investigating. What time were you online? Who is liking your photos? Why do you look so happy without her? That curiosity is consuming her ego hour by hour. In this video, I'm going to expose the 7 secret emotional stages that women desperately try to hide from men. You need to watch this to understand one thing. The moment you stop chasing is the moment you finally take total control of the game. Look, I know you've been the one showing up. I know you've been the one trying. I know what it feels like to give your best and watch someone treat it like it's ordinary. I see you. A lot of men are carrying that weight silently, thinking they're the only ones who've been in this position. You're not. Here's what most men miss. The first 48 hours after you pull back are absolutely critical. She's not thinking good riddance. She's thinking, wait, what just happened? This is stage 1, the shock. And gentlemen, this is where your power begins. When you've been consistently present, consistently available, consistently chasing, your sudden absence creates a vacuum. And nature abhors a vacuum. Her brain immediately goes into alert mode. Why isn't he texting? Why isn't he asking about my day? Did something happen? Psychologically, this is called intermittent reinforcement withdrawal. Your consistent attention became her baseline, her new normal. The human brain doesn't value the normal, it values the unexpected. When you remove that baseline, her brain suddenly registers you as scarce rather than available. And scarcity creates value. But here's the beautiful part. She won't reach out yet. Her pride won't allow it. Instead, she starts the mental replay. Every conversation you had, every moment you shared, looking for clues, looking for signs she might have missed. This isn't about you hurting her. This is about her ego suddenly realizing it might not have the control it thought it had. Now pay attention, because this is where it gets fascinating. Stage 2 kicks in, usually within the first week. The denial phase. She convinces herself this is temporary. He's just busy. He's just giving me space. He'll text me by the weekend like he always does. This is her comfort zone talking. Because in the past, you always came back, didn't you? You always broke first. You always reached out. So her brain creates this narrative. This is just another one of those moments. He'll crack soon. There's a fascinating study in behavioral psychology. When rats were given food pellets randomly instead of consistently, they became more obsessed with the lever, not less. They'd press it compulsively, unable to predict when the reward would come. Sound familiar? That's what happens when you become unpredictable. You shift from the sure thing to the mystery, and the human brain is wired to solve mysteries. But here's what's happening beneath that denial. Doubt is creeping in. Every day you don't reach out, that doubt grows a little stronger. Every night she goes to bed without hearing from you, her certainty weakens. The narrative she's telling herself starts to show cracks. Most men think ignoring her for a few days is no contact. Listen, she's been ignoring your emotional needs for months. The difference? You called it love. She called it convenience. And this is where stage 2 transforms into something else entirely. She becomes a detective. She's checking your online status. She's looking at who you're following. She's analyzing your story views. Who's that person who liked his photo? Why is he posting at 2 a.m.? He looks happy. Is he moving on? Gentlemen, this isn't obsession in the traditional sense. This is her ego desperately trying to regain a sense of control. When you were chasing her, she had all the information. She knew where she stood. Now, she's in the dark. And human beings hate uncertainty more than almost anything else. And be honest with yourself. How many times have you checked her profile while telling yourself you've moved on? Most men are doing the exact same detective work they're accusing her of. The difference is, she's doing it because she's losing control. What's your excuse? What you need to understand is this. Every hour you remain silent is an hour she's thinking about you. Not necessarily in a romantic way, but you are occupying mental real estate. And attention, my friends, is the most valuable currency in human connection. The woman who doesn't miss you when you're gone never valued you when you were there. She just valued what you did for her ego. If this helped you even a little, please like, leave a comment, and subscribe. Your support truly motivates me to keep sharing this message. Now, let's talk about what happens next. Here's something powerful you need to know. Around the 7 to 14 day mark, something shifts. Stage 3 arrives, the anger. And this is where weak men break and strong men hold their ground. She might send that breadcrumb text, something casual, something that seems innocent. Hey, just saw something that reminded me of you. Or maybe it's more direct. Wow, so you're just going to ignore me now? Some women will even go full offense. You're being childish. This is immature. Listen carefully. This anger is not what you think it is. This isn't her hating you. This is her ego feeling threatened. For possibly the first time in your dynamic, she's not in the driver's seat. And it's uncomfortable. It's unfamiliar. It challenges everything she thought she knew about your connection. In psychology, we call this reactance theory. When someone feels their freedom is being threatened, in this case, her freedom to have you available whenever she wants, they react with anger. It's not about you. It's about her perceived loss of options. Understanding this helps you not take her anger personally. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The moment she gets angry that you stop chasing is the exact moment she proves she never valued the chase. She valued the control. The weak man reads that angry text and immediately responds. He apologizes, he explains, he justifies, and in that moment he hands back all the power he gained. Don't be that man. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Stage 4 emerges when anger doesn't work. The bargaining phase. This is when she starts making offers, making compromises, showing interest she never showed before. Maybe we should grab coffee and talk. I was thinking about what you said, and you might have a point. I miss our conversations. Notice the shift? Suddenly, she's initiating. Suddenly, she's suggesting. Suddenly, the thing you've been wanting for months is being offered to you. But here's the critical insight. This isn't necessarily genuine change yet. This is testing. She's testing to see if you'll come running back at the first sign of her interest. She's testing to see if your absence was real strength or just a temporary tantrum. And this is where most men fail the test. They see the offer, they feel the validation, and they jump right back in, back to the same patterns, back to the same dynamic. And within weeks, sometimes days, it's like nothing changed. I know some of you are sitting here thinking, but I really cared about her. I believe you. Your feelings were real. Your effort was real. And that's exactly why this hurts so much. When you invest genuine emotion and get breadcrumbs in return, it messes with your head. It makes you question your worth. I get it. Here's the question you need to ask yourself. If she's suddenly interested now that you pulled back, was she ever really into you? Or was she just comfortable? Because I see a lot of men confuse comfort with connection, and that confusion keeps you stuck for years. But something profound is happening in stage 4 that most men never see. Behind that bargaining, behind those offers, there's genuine internal conflict brewing. She's questioning things she never questioned before. Why do I care so much that he's not chasing me anymore? When did I get so comfortable taking him for granted? What if he's actually moving on? These aren't thoughts she's sharing with you. These are 3 a.m. thoughts. These are shower thoughts. These are the conversations happening in her head. And here's the truth that will set you free. You cannot talk someone into valuing you. You cannot convince someone to appreciate you. But you can show them what life looks like without you. And that demonstration speaks louder than 1,000 words ever could. This stage is where the real transformation begins, but only if you hold your ground. Only if you remain consistent. Only if you understand that this discomfort she's feeling isn't punishment. It's the natural consequence of taking someone for granted. When a woman only wants you after you stop wanting her, she doesn't want you. She wants to win. I want to acknowledge something. Walking away from someone you care about is one of the hardest things a man can do. Society tells you to fight for her, to never give up, to prove your love. But sometimes the most loving thing you can do for her and for yourself is to step back. That takes real strength. Now we arrive at stage 5, and this is where things get real, the depression phase. This typically hits around week 3 to 4, sometimes sooner for some women, depending on the depth of your connection. Here's what you need to understand. This isn't about making anyone suffer. This is about her finally, genuinely feeling your absence rather than just intellectualizing it. Up until now, it's been mostly ego. But stage 5, this is when it touches something deeper. She starts feeling the empty spaces. The morning when she would have told you about her dream. The afternoon when something funny happened and you were the first person she wanted to share it with. The evening when she's just tired and needed someone who understood her to talk to. This is the stage where silence becomes deafening, where your absence becomes real. And this is also the stage where genuine reflection begins, not bargaining, not anger, but real, honest reflection about what was and what is. A lot of guys wait at stage 5 thinking, finally, she gets it. But here's what nobody tells you. Her feeling your absence doesn't mean she's earned your presence back. Stage 6 is the acceptance. And gentlemen, this is the most critical stage because this is where the real decision happens. Some women reach acceptance and decide to move on. Others reach acceptance and realize what they lost. Here's the difference. A woman who reaches acceptance and starts genuinely working on herself, genuinely reflecting on the patterns that led to this moment, that's a woman who might be worth reconsidering. A woman who reaches acceptance and immediately starts looking for the next source of attention, that's a woman showing you exactly who she is. The acceptance phase is characterized by a particular kind of silence, not the angry silence of stage 3, not the bargaining silence of stage 4, but a quiet, reflective silence. She stops checking your social media obsessively. She stops crafting the perfect breadcrumb text. She actually sits with herself and her feelings. And this is where you need to be wise. This silence can mean two different things: genuine growth or genuine detachment. Your job isn't to panic and break your silence to find out which one it is. Your job is to continue being the man you've been becoming during this time. Some men spend so much time trying to be chosen that they forget they also get to choose. Your absence isn't a punishment, it's a standard. Stage 7 is the realization. This is the final stage, and it doesn't happen for everyone, but when it does, it's unmistakable. This is when she genuinely understands not just that you're gone, but why your absence matters so much. She realizes you weren't just another option. You weren't just convenient. You were actually adding something meaningful to her life that she took for granted. She realizes that the consistency she found boring was actually reliability. The availability she found suffocating was actually presence. The effort she dismissed was actually love. Neuroscientists have found that the brain processes loss more intensely than gain. Losing $100 hurts more than gaining $100 feels good. That's why your absence hits harder than your presence ever felt. It's not about you becoming more valuable. It's about her brain finally registering what it lost. But here's the powerful truth. By the time she reaches stage 7, you've likely already reached your own realizations. You've realized your worth. You've realized you don't need to chase to be valued. You've realized that the right person won't make you feel like you're too much or not enough. The realization stage isn't about her finally seeing the light and you taking her back triumphantly. It's about both people understanding what was real and what wasn't, what was healthy and what was toxic, what was worth fighting for and what was worth walking away from. Now, let me ask you something uncomfortable. How many women did you take for granted before you learned this lesson? Because the man who only values himself when someone else stops valuing him hasn't actually learned anything. He's just waiting for the next person to teach him the same lesson. And sometimes the most loving thing two people can do is realize they weren't right for each other, that the dynamic was broken not because someone was bad, but because the fit wasn't there. That caring about someone and being good together are two different things. So, gentlemen, here's what I want you to take from this. These 7 stages aren't a roadmap to get her back. They're a mirror showing you the natural consequences of valuing yourself. When you stop chasing, you're not playing games. You're simply saying, I'm worth being met halfway. I'm worth genuine effort. I'm worth real appreciation. And any woman who can't see that isn't the woman for you. The strongest thing you can do is focus on becoming the best version of yourself. Not to make her jealous, not to prove anything to anyone, but because you deserve to be the kind of man you respect, the kind of man who doesn't need validation from someone who can't see his value. Work on your purpose, strengthen your character, build your life, develop your emotional intelligence, and trust that the right woman will recognize and appreciate the man you're becoming. If this resonated with you, if you're committed to becoming a stronger, more grounded version of yourself, subscribe to Psychology for Life. We're building a community of men who choose growth over games, strength over neediness, and self-respect over settling. Remember, your absence should be felt, not because you're trying to punish anyone, but because your presence was genuinely valuable. Be that man. The rest will take care of itself.